يا بني أقم الصلاة وأمر بالمعروف وانهى عن المنكر واصبر على ما أصابك إن ذلك من عزم الأمور. The father is telling his son, he said, preserve and maintain the prayer. Then he told him, وَأْمُرْ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ. And what it just means is stand by what's right. To stand tall and stand by what is right. Maintain the prayer and stand by what's right. You know what that means? You have to have a lot of courage. That means you're okay with making somebody upset because they don't like that you stand by what you know to be right. You're completely okay being weird where everybody else thinks it's wrong, but you know better, you know it's right. And you're still standing by it. It doesn't matter who's offended by you. It doesn't matter who makes fun of you. It doesn't matter what friends you lose, what popularity you lose. It doesn't matter who gets angry at you. None of that matters, because when you stand in prayer, you learn to fear only Allah. When you stand in prayer, you realize a day is coming where people won't matter. I'm going to be alone in front of Allah on Judgment Day. And when you maintain that, then it makes you courageous to deal with everything else, because everything else becomes less scary. Then I'm going to do what Allah says is right and everything else is wrong, and I have no problem saying it. And I'm going to gently encourage others. You can't encourage somebody else to do something right if you're not standing by it yourself. So it's included within وَأْمُرْ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ is وَأْمُرْ نَفْسَكَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ. So tell yourself to stand by what's right. And then even tell others, look, I'm standing by it, and I'm not just keeping my business to myself. That's the other part of this that's pretty interesting. It is one thing that I don't do bad things. And then what we have now, because we're in a hyper-individualistic society, is something called mind your own business. Right? So I'm not doing something messed up. These people want to go to hell, that they're welcome to. That's their business. Right? I'm not going to interfere. That's none of my business. No, you can interfere sometimes, and it is none of your business sometimes, but the command given to, or the advice given to the son, which then later turns in the Quran is a command given from Allah Himself, is you must speak up for what is right. The Prophet ﷺ would tell us, من رأى منكم منكرا فليغيره بيده فمن لم يستطع فبلسانه فمن لم يستطع فبقلبه وذلك أضعف الإيمان. Whoever sees an evil among you, let them try and change it with the power of their hand. If they're not able to, at least that they should speak out against it with their tongue. And if they're not able to do so, at least they should hate it in their hearts. And that's the weakest state of faith you can have. وذلك أضعف الإيمان. So two things, doing what's right, and then what goes hand in hand with that is وَانْهَى عَنِ الْمُنْكَرِ, and stand against what is wrong. Speak out against evil. When something is evil, even doesn't matter who's celebrating it, who's giving it a beautiful name, if it's evil, it's still evil. If it's something hated by Allah, it says something hated by Allah. If it's something against the fitrah, the nature that Allah created human beings with, then it's still against the fitrah and nature that the human beings were created with. We can't change morality. That's something you guys should know. What used to be okay 10 years ago and what used to be bad 10 years ago has changed. But morality has changed. So some things that were weird are now normal. Right? And some things that were okay are now extreme. There are societies in the world where anybody who prays 5 times a day is considered an extremist. And they're under watch and surveillance, because it's too extreme for that society that somebody would pray. There are societies in the world today where if a woman is wearing hijab, that can be considered a crime against the state. Or that's enough reason for her not to get into a university or get a job or anything else. So what is maybe normal in some places has now become more and more what? Extreme. It's become what is actually a good thing has now turned into evil. And things that were evil are not as bad, then they become okay, then they become kind of acceptable, then they become mandatory. So the bar keeps shifting. So by the time another 10 years go by the time you're adults, the world and the way the world sees what's right and wrong is going to change again. And it's going to change again. And it's going to change again. The definition of right and wrong will keep on changing. And you know what they say? They'll say it's up to the individual. They'll just say it's up to, it's you decide. It's personal freedom. Right? That's the idea. Well, for a believer, what's their personal freedom? Our personal freedom is we freely give ourselves in slavery to Allah. That's what we do. And when we do that, then we don't decide anymore what's right and wrong. Our conscience, in line with the revelation of Allah, with the teachings of the prophets, which has been consistent throughout history. It's the same. The prophets came in different societies, in different cultures, in different continents, in different languages, and yet what was right and wrong was exactly the same.